Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool drew 0-0 with Everton yesterday in what was quite possibly the worst Merseyside derby ever. Certainly one of the most boring and meaningless and pointless derbies that Liverpool have ever had to play out over recent years. You know, as said in the pre-match video and as was reflected in the thoughts of all Liverpool fans, and I'm sure the players and management staff as well going into this game, none of us wanted this derby to happen. None of us wanted to play it. It's come at an awful time, you know, right in the middle of when our focus is purely on the Champions League with an injury crisis as well. This is the last game that Liverpool wanted to have to play. And quite frankly, as much as, you know, this Everton side is terrible, let's get that out of the way. It's an awful side managed by a terrible manager playing absolute garbage football, and it's a side that Liverpool absolutely should be beating every single time we play them. Under the circumstances, you know, the main two aims going into this game were don't lose, because we've got a really good record against Everton. Now 17 games unbeaten against them in all competitions. And also, not just not to lose, but also to avoid any more injuries going into the game against Manchester City. So despite the fact that Liverpool did drop 2 points against an awful Everton side and missed an opportunity to win at Goodison, which is always annoying because, you know, they only come along once every single year by and large, we can kind of be happy with the result. You know, we got what we came for. We literally just wanted to get in, get out, don't lose and come out unscathed. And that's what Liverpool managed to do. You know, there were a few other flashpoints in and around the game. You know, Karius makes a really good save from Yannick Bolasie in that first half. You know, effectively a save that when you look back on it now kind of wins a point for Liverpool there. You know, a save that actually stops us losing the game, because if that Liverpool side had gone 1-0 down yesterday, it's difficult to see them getting back into the game without having to put in a lot more effort and playing a few more players off the bench that they wouldn't want to have risked with the Man City game on Tuesday. So a really good save from Karius, finally starting to prove that he can be good enough to be Liverpool's number one. You know, I've always wanted to see Karius succeed. Obviously, we've all wanted him to see him succeed, but I think, you know, with the option of having Alisson in the transfer window in the summer and other goalkeepers we could splash the cash on, you always want it to be your own players that come up with the goods, because, you know, at the end of the day, you want it to be them rather than having to shell out loads of money over the summer transfer window. So it's really good to see Karius making a name for himself in that Liverpool number one spot. So fingers crossed that he can carry on doing that between now and the end of the season and in future years as well. As it's going at the moment, it is going very well for Karius. But yeah, Karius makes a good save. Apart from that, in the first half, there is one chance that Dom Solanki potentially should have scored. You know, had a really good opportunity to put Liverpool 1-0 up when the ball falls to him just outside the goal. You know, no one but the goalkeeper to beat. Unfortunately, he puts it straight at Jordan Pickford. To be honest, I'm not too annoyed at Dom Solanki for that. You know, he had a lot of critics after this game. A lot of people looked at that Solanki performance and thought we really need to reinforce our striking options in the summer because he simply isn't good enough at the moment to be Roberto Firmino's backup. Personally, I think that's one that you can kind of put down to a lack of game time. You know, Solanki has proven that he is a pretty good striker and a pretty good finisher. He's done that in pre-season. He's done it for the under-23s. He's done it for the England youth sides as well. I think the fact that he's just not getting enough game time for the first team means that he isn't quite sharp enough to be putting those chances away. If anything, I actually think there's a chance later on in the game that I'm more annoyed at Solanki about. It's the one when, after Oxlade-Chamberlain has come on in the second half, Dom Solanki has the ball outside the goal. He has one shot that gets blocked, and then there's about 3 or 4 Everton players that are blocking the shot, and absolutely no one paying attention to the fact that Oxlade-Chamberlain is open about 12 yards from goal. And if Solanki actually sees that pass to Ox and plays it to him, then it's pretty much a certain goal for Liverpool, and we could have actually jammed our way to a 1-0 win if he passed there. So if anything, that's the thing that I'm annoyed with Dom Solanki about, and I'm sure that's something that Jurgen Klopp will pick out after the game and say, look, we know you're a finisher, we know you really want a goal, but you've got to be keeping an eye out for these kind of options, because in a tight game like that, those moments decide what the outcome of the match is. And unfortunately, Dom Solanki let us down a little bit there. But yeah, apart from that, no other huge flashpoints. Wijnaldum had a very good game in his audition for the number 6 role, which for me is really important going into the City game, because I personally was very worried about that defensive role, because I thought Jurgen Klopp was probably going to go with James Milner there, what with Wijnaldum and Oxlade-Chamberlain technically being attacking midfielders / wingers by trade from earlier on in their careers. Jurgen Klopp's gone against that. He said, actually, no, James Milner's not going to play that role, which I think is a good thing because he suits the box-to-box role better. And he's gone with the wild card of actually trying out Wijnaldum. And it looks like it's actually going to go all right. You know, obviously there are sterner tests to come than playing against this Everton side. Obviously, Man City will be a much more difficult team to play that holding role against than Everton will be. But as the auditions go, it went pretty well. I mean, his whole move of turning, sticking his bum out and protecting the ball, did it about 10 or 15 times during that game. It worked every single time, which is very good to see. He also kind of possesses the kind of qualities that we're looking for in players like Keita and potentially Jorginho as well, in having someone who plays that deep lying role, but is also capable of spraying passes out and orchestrating play from deep. And while that might not come in as handy against Manchester City, where his primary role will probably be more to defend than to attack, but potentially in home games in the future against the lower down sides, you know, I'm thinking about the games against Bournemouth and Stoke coming up at Anfield over the next few weeks. Having Gini Wijnaldum in a number 6 role could actually be hugely, hugely vital for Liverpool. And it's a nice little stroke of luck for Liverpool, really. Or potentially not luck. You know, Jurgen Klopp could have had this in mind for a while. But at the moment, it looks like a stroke of luck that we've suddenly come across someone who could play this number 6 role really well for us right in the middle of an injury crisis. So that is a bonus for Liverpool as well. Apart from that, nothing major to talk about from the game. Obviously, our levels dropped off quite significantly in the last 10 minutes. Liverpool got away with it quite a bit towards the end there, I think it's safe to say. Everton had a lot of chances, a lot of times when the ball was pinging across the face of goal about 6 yards out and stuff like that, and their players just weren't getting on the end of it. So, I mean, yeah, we got away with one there, but to say that Everton haven't had any luck in Merseyside derbies over recent years would be ridiculous. I mean, the Calvert-Lewin penalty incident comes to mind as a recent incident where Everton have escaped a loss in the Merseyside derby by the skin of their teeth. So yeah, you know, the luck's kind of evened itself out across the season, I think it's safe to say. Obviously, Liverpool will not be able to drop off like that against Manchester City on Tuesday night. I think the priority will be to make sure that we aren't in a position where the last 10 minutes are so pivotal, because the players are just playing so many games at the moment. And despite the fact that Jurgen Klopp obviously, I think, got his selections mostly right in this game in terms of balancing resting players and also putting out an 11 that was strong enough to get a result out of the game. Obviously, a lot of those players are getting more and more tired, and it's understandable that they dropped off. So I think the most important thing for the City game is that we make sure that that isn't a problem, you know, that we're not losing 2-0 with 10 minutes to go or anything like that, because then we could be in serious trouble. But yeah, all things considered, a point at the end of the day, pretty much as good as it could have got for Liverpool. You know, maybe we could have jammed a 1-0 win. Like I said, there were a few chances we had in the game where we could have got away with it. We also got away with it in terms of the fact we avoided a loss. So, you know, probably around about a fair result. And we avoided all injuries as well. So it's sad that we're looking at a Merseyside derby like that. And hopefully, you know, we won't have to put up with another derby like that over the next few years, because I love beating Everton. They are just so bad, and they are the kind of team that this Liverpool side should be steamrolling every single time we play them. So fingers crossed for some better derbies in the years to come. But looking back on that one, the result was a pretty decent one, all things considered. So that is all for the post-match video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll be back later with the pre-match content for the big Champions League tie against Man City, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, hit it there. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll see you in a bit for the pre-match video for the Man City game. Bye for now.